All right, my friends, Mike Walker here, back with you and another lesson. This is now game time. We are going to get out into the market. We're going to start interacting. We've got so much ground covered already. We've taken you from your background, your experiences, your strengths, your interests. We've now created an outline for what we believe the market wants. We've assembled a survey to gather market feedback, and now we're actually going to deploy all of these pieces of the puzzle. We're putting them all together, and we're now going to get into the marketplace. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, engaging your market. This is a key component. This is where we get to work. All right, let's dive in. So lesson 3.3, here's what we're going to cover: identifying your platforms, understanding the direct outreach strategy, engaging your market and best practices, and then some conversation starters. We've really put everything here for you that you're going to need to get your feet wet, get out there in the market and start communicating and gathering information and really understanding what it is that your market's wanting, and making sure that's truly in alignment with everything that we've worked on up to this point in terms of our hypothesis, what we believe the market's wanting, and everything else. Okay, this is where it's all coming together. So let's dive in. First, we're going to want to really get clear on where we're going to be engaging our market. What does that actually mean, right? Well, engaging our market is simply, I just want you to think of yourself as basically in detective mode right now. We're not in sales mode. We're going to get into, creating buyer conversations and marketing and all the other things later in module 5. For right now, I just want you to consider yourself a detective, somebody that's going to engage and interact with the market. It's really, really critical right now that we get out of our heads and just out into the market. Just real-time feedback, connecting with people that we believe would fit our ideal client profile, and just truly validate that, yes, I understand my market, I'm picking up on their language, they're resonating with me, I can see that there's a connection here, I feel good about what it is that I'm saying, offering, providing, etc. Now, there's plenty of platforms to do that on. You can do it during events. These could be live events like Chamber of Commerce meetings and whatnot. There's obviously no shortage of podcasts that you can reach out to, get onto their podcast or listen to podcasts and exchange comments and questions with their audience. And then of course there's social media as well, right? And there's plenty of platforms for that. So here's the thing. It's not so much a matter of, well, which one should I choose? I would encourage you to seek out all three, especially in the earlier going on, where you just want to get a feel for the audience. The more exposure you have to your market, the faster you're going to start to assimilate all the feedback and start to get a feel for true alignment with what it is that you're offering, and make sure that you are aware of other people that are offering similar services and all the other things that come together when you have to consider yourself as a true player in the market. Now, from a high level perspective, direct outreach is very simple. We're just outreaching to the market. We're wanting to engage with the market, creating conversations and taking those online conversations and getting them onto the phone. Now, when we say phone, that could be Zoom or it could be actually physically over the phone. Either way is fine. But at the end of the day, I just want you to understand that that's what we're trying to do. In the simplest of terms, we're trying to take online communications, emails, social media, direct messages, etc. We're trying to convert those into actual phone calls. Now, why is that? Because the phone calls are the relationship builder. That's where we're actually going to communicate. Sending text messages back and forth or DMs back and forth, that's fine. And you can get quite far that way, honestly. And we're actually going to arm you with some scripts that will allow you to do that really, really effectively. But at the end of the day, I want you to understand that the goal is to get on the phone. The number of phone calls that you have in your business is a direct key KPI, key performance indicator of where you're at. We can do all kinds of activities, but at the end of the day, how many times were we actually on the phone or on Zoom with somebody that could, tell us yes or no to what it is that we're bringing to the market? That's the number one objective, is to converse with somebody, a potential prospect, as many times per day as we possibly can, and generate those calls via all kinds of different outreach strategies, which we're going to go into a little bit here, and then even farther down in module 5 when we start digging into the actual marketing and all the other fun stuff that we've got planned for you. Okay, so I just want to give you a very high level perspective of what the general game plan is. But for right now, remember what I said. We're not in sales mode here. We're not trying to get people to buy your offer necessarily. What we're really trying to do is just communicate with the audience. Let's just get really, really connected and make sure that we truly do understand our crowd. Now, I want to encourage you, don't be that person. And looking at this image, I think you get my point. Remember your ideal client's level of market sophistication, like we talked about. it is critical that you really look at every single outreach that you do with that acronym. Do you remember that acronym from prior module? WIIFM, right? What's in it for me? That's what people are thinking about when you're outreaching to them. So when you're doing direct outreach messaging and when you're communicating with the audience in your market, I just really want you to always remember, what would I do? What would I say that would speak to them and showcase that, look, I really just want to connect with them. I just want to know where they're at. If I can work with them, if I can help them, that's great. But at the end of the day, all I need to know and all I really care about is delivering value to the marketplace. So I just want you to, really go into this with an idea like, look, don't be that person. Don't just be spamming people. Don't be, what's in it for me? What can I get? How fast can I get someone on the phone? How quickly can I get someone to buy my services or products or whatnot? You really want to come at it from an angle of service, right? We've discussed this already, but I just wanted to really emphasize that you don't want to be labeled as that spam person that's just going from, hey, do you want to connect, to instantly, hey, I've got something, you want to get on the phone, I want to talk to you, I want to show you what I can offer you. It doesn't work like that. So just remember that every conversation that you have online should be treated as though it's a conversation that you're having with someone sitting across from you at a table at Starbucks or what have you, right? Like, treat it naturally, treat it like you would somebody that's just a real human being on the other side, and you want to make sure that you present yourself correctly. Now, best practices when you're doing outreach, remember, especially if you're using LinkedIn, you need to connect with them first on LinkedIn prior to sending them any messages. So you need to have a connection request. You need to get those connections in play first. We're going to dive into all that here in a little bit, but just from a high level perspective, I want you to remember that first we just need to make the connections. Then we'll worry about actually messaging them. Same thing with Facebook. You don't want to start messaging people that aren't actually your friends. So you're going to have this kind of a two-step process where you're going to first just get the connections, validate those, thank them for their connection. That's great. And then we can worry about communicating with them. But it is very much a two-step process. You don't want to start spamming people with messages because that's not going to work. And you're probably going to get yourself kicked off of LinkedIn or Facebook or both. So be very respectful with this process. Just because you can connect with them doesn't mean that they're necessarily super excited about connecting with someone that they don't know. Remember, you don't want to be this person, right? So be very, very aware and polite in your approach. It will go a long, long way. Secondly, remember this chart we talked about, the value and sophistication levels? Well, when we go up the sophistication ladder, you're also probably going to notice that you'll have more and more resistance. Remember, these people are more educated about their particular problem or solution that they're going for, whether it be in their industry, their hobby, their sport, whatever it is, the particular thing that they are working towards or what they're wanting. They're more aware. They've been in the game long enough to go through some of the different steps of awareness. And so as that happens, they're probably going to experience more and more options, people, etc., that have presented them with solutions. And so you can imagine if you've been slammed multiple times by multiple people, all saying that they're going to solve your problem and that they're the best thing under God's beautiful sky that has all the right answers for them, they're probably going to be very, very hesitant, very, very skeptical, etc. So again, this goes back to why it's so important to, identify where your ideal client fits within this awareness scale, because it's also going to speak to the amount of resistance you should expect when outreaching to them. So for example, in a very competitive, very sophisticated audience, your messaging is going to have elements of proof and be able to very clearly articulate, look, I've been in this game too. I've dealt with all that. Oh yeah, I've dealt with all these, I've been getting spammed on this all the time. The language is going to change versus somebody that's just very new and very unaware. And you'll be like, hey, look, are you dealing with this? Are you dealing with this? And, and here, I've got some things I can help. And they'll probably be a little bit less resistant because they just haven't had it so much exposure to the various solutions or various messages out in the marketplace specific to that particular problem or solution that they're looking for, right? So again, just be aware of the fact that you should encounter resistance. And every time you send a message, think about it in their terms. What's in it for them? Why would they respond to this? Why would they care about what I have to say, right? And that's really going to come from your tonality. It's going to come from your approach and from just being an authentic human and not just somebody that's spamming people with copy and paste messages. Okay, excellent. Now, To get you started, we've created this guide, this template. And again, these aren't necessarily to be just copy and pasted, but I want to give you some prompts that you can build off of and really customize them yourself. So let me pull these over. I'll show you exactly what these look like here. All right, we got a lot here, and I'm going to share with you exactly what it looks like. So what you'll notice is that we have the market analysis survey script. Remember in the last lesson, we talked about having your market analysis and getting that out there. So what I did is I created a 4-message sequence for you for connecting with people and seeing if they will provide their feedback for you in that survey. So you can, again, read through this. You'll notice that the brackets are set up in a way that you would obviously want to input that person's name. You would want to customize it in a way that it's very clear that you are speaking to them specifically as a human and not just 20 people that you're spamming with the same message. So this will really guide you through the process of creating some very nice messaging that should come off very natural. And again, what I put here is that people can feel copy and paste messaging from a mile away. So be thoughtful about how you use these. And the key is to make sure that each of your messages feels natural and conversational. Keep them short and clearly articulated. You don't want ultra long text messages or DMs. It doesn't come off very well. You'll notice that this one here, message 3, is about as long as you'd ever want to get. And this is only after having communicated with them back and forth several times. So again, the process of messaging someone, I want you to consider kind of a stepstone approach, I call it, where if you imagine walking across a stream and there's these stones set a couple of feet apart from each other all the way across the stream, well, you're gonna only focus on the first step. That's it. Yes, you're gonna get all the way across the other side, that's fine, but the very first step is the one that you're focused on. And that's how your messaging should go. It's not to communicate everything that you want to communicate in one message. It's about, let's just get to the first step. Let's just make contact and allow them to contact back. Once that's achieved, excellent. Now we can go to the next step. See what I'm saying? So you just really want to think of it sequentially. Don't just cram people with a bunch of messaging and questions and all kinds of different, whatever you come up with. You just want to be very, clear and articulate and thoughtful as to how you would want to be communicated. If someone reached out to you, how would you want to receive their questions, their feedback, whatever it may be, right? So you're going to naturally want to go through these and customize them yourself. My proposition to you would be obviously go up to File, make copy, and then save it to your drive, okay? And now here's a little tip for you. When you customize these, add, say up here like version 1 and just make it nice and bold, highlight it, whatever you want to do. So it's very clear that everything that you do and customize within these scripts here is version 1.0. Then you're going to end up testing this. And then based on that feedback, you're like, wow, no one's even responding to my number 1 message. Well, naturally that first message probably needs to be looked at, right? So what you'll do is you'll make another copy and title it version 2 or 2.0. And then you're going to make some slight changes to it. Okay. And remember what we talked about before. We'll go into this deeper into the marketing side down in module 5, but you want to be sequential with your editing. You don't want to just scrap it all the way and then start over every time, because then you don't really know what happened. If you get better results or worse results, you won't really know what variable it was that changed it. So I want you to be very methodical in how you change your messaging. So message 1 starts working, but every time you get to about message 3 here, it's just not working for you for some reason. That's fine. Make some changes, make sure you keep track of what those changes were, and then go through the process and use them again. And you'll start to find that if you iterate instead of just scrapping and starting all over every time, you'll get to the end result that you're looking for much faster, because you're being methodical and sequential about your editing and not just, again, starting over from scratch every single time. Okay? Excellent. Now, this takes some thought, because again, remember, we have to go back. Where's our ideal client? Where are they in terms of their market sophistication? What are their wants? What are their needs, right? That's why all the homework that we've done up to this point is so critical, because if we don't have clarity of what that is, or even at least a remote idea of what it is, then we're not going to know. And so that's why the market analysis survey process is so critical, because you really do want to know, what people are thinking. And if you can get that market feedback in hand and review the data from your survey, it's going to make all your messaging from there on just that much easier. Okay. So this is the conversation starter for the market analysis survey. Now, there are other messages here that we're going to get into later in the marketing modules down in module 5. So just know that we will touch back on this particular document again, but for the sake of this module and remembering that you're not trying to sell right now, you're not trying to do anything, but just simply have conversations with your market, engage with the market, and validate your offer with the survey. All you really need to focus on is fine-tuning this one right here, okay? Awesome, guys. So let's work on it. That's the next step, is to customize this script. Make sure that you keep track of your version 1.0, your 2.0, 3.0, etc., and begin engaging with the market. I'll encourage you to make an effort to communicate with no less than 10 people per day, every single day, and work on getting this survey filled out, because the sooner you have that data, the faster you're going to be able to start moving into module 4, which is then crafting your offer and actually putting the whole thing together. Taylor's gonna be talking on that on the next module. So dig in. This takes some work, guys. Spend the time to do your homework on this one, and you will absolutely be setting yourself up for success as we get into the next sections here in the course. All right. Congratulations for getting here, by the way. There's a tremendous amount of work that you've put in up to this point if you've been following along and completing each step. So I just want to congratulate you, acknowledge yourself, acknowledge the fact that you've been pushing through, doing the hard work of what it takes. If you find yourself here watching this video right now and all this worksheets are done, you've filled it out, you spent the time, effort, and energy into filling out the different templates and worksheets and everything we've done up to this point, you are doing the work. I just want to, encourage you to know that if you keep doing what you are doing right now, doing the work, following the steps, following the process with us, you will absolutely do extremely well in this environment. So just keep doing what you're doing. Make sure you complete each task as we go, and you'll be just fine as we move on to the next steps. All right, guys, excellent. Look forward to working with you in the next videos. We will see you soon.